Yeah, thanks so much, everybody, for coming. Another episode, the HGA free webinar series on location somewhere. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, everybody who's going to be watching this as a recording as well. We're excited to talk about, it's going to seem like a broad stroke, but we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it and some philosophies that we have about proactive event planning, making sure that we're focusing on attainable goals that we can set and metrics that we can set early and plan early and often, and make sure that we're focusing on the overall goal, of course, and always keeping in mind what we're there for and how much money we're looking to raise. So we're going to give you some actionable steps. Jason always says, remember the dollars. Remember the
when we talk about fundraising and event planning, we're really specifically talking about raising money, the money raising part of it. So that's our focus. We're not here to talk about napkin and place settings and centerpieces and entertainment and venues. That's not our place of expertise.
Yes.
We have experience in it, but that's just not what we want to focus on.
Not event planners.
Yeah, we want to focus on that. So everything that we do. Make sure you stay to the end and win. We're going to give away a trip that you can use to raise more money. And if you have any questions, please, down below in the chat feature, or it's active and set up, or the Q&A, give us a question. If you're watching this in a recording and you've got a comment or something, please don't hesitate. Leave us that feedback. We'd really like to hear it. If you have a question, please, we would love to do that. We love it when somebody gives us a question and we get to bring it up here to you guys and talk about it.
That's a good point. Absolutely. That's been happening more often.
Trevor, we're talking about something. I want to share a video with everybody. It takes about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very simple deal. Hopefully everybody can hear it, but you should be able to.
The big rocks.
And so let me get to. All right.
I love this.
Even if you can't, you can read it down at the bottom, so you don't have to listen to him talk. Is the sound coming in for you guys?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's no sound, but you can just read it. Yeah. So you get the idea. This is really just about prioritization. And it really just goes back whenever we start talking about big rocks and things like this, or what are rocks, how do we get the rocks to move? You understand what we're talking about. This is talking about it in a practice of life, but it also, and that's enough of that. We don't have to watch any more of it.
It's applicable to fundraising.
Well, it totally is. And it's whether you're running your events and, stop share. There we go. So the whole idea is in fundraising, we want to do the same thing. We want to have, what are our big rocks? What are they? And let's focus on those. The rest of the stuff will take care of itself, like centerpieces, napkins, and there are some nonprofits we work with that are very disciplined, very, very disciplined when it comes to focusing on the big rocks, what they're going to do, and that's what their sole focus is. And they are very successful with their fundraisers.
They have it in writing. They have a template. Well, they have clearly defined goals.
Yeah, and I think one of the mistakes we see is, and we know a lot of you out here are working by yourselves. You've only got a small staff, and so you get caught up and you just kind of get on the treadmill and you can't seem to get off. And part of this whole thing is to start early and often. When's the best time to start your fundraising? Your fundraising planning? The day after your last one.
Yep.
When's the next best time? Today. And it's funny, when everybody goes, yeah, but golly, I've got all this other stuff to do. And I know it's hard. I don't disagree. It's very hard. And that's why when we talk about this, it's really set up so that way you understand, if I get these big rocks and identify what they are, and that becomes my focus, the rest of it will work.
Yep.
The rest of it's all going to fall into place and you're going to hit your goals.
Yep.
And we know this because we see it time and time again.
Yep.
And this is an interesting thing that we were talking about before we did this today, Trevor, is how many times we talk to people in the nonprofit. They're wanting us to help them raise money, and so we ask that question. Well, how much money are you wanting to raise?
I think we need you to double click on that and really emphasize to people. It's like we're always like, what should we do first? What should we do next? And it's always and frankly, it's not anyone's fault, by the way, and we love it. But we say this week in and week out. Folks come to us, hey, what should we put in our live auction? Okay, when's your event? Well, it's 10 months from now. And we always go back, and you taught me this. Okay, well, how much money are we looking to raise? What are we doing so far? And we kind of like reverse engineer the process. And, we're talking about big rocks, and we tease it with, defining clear, goals and metrics of what you want, what you need to get done. And far more often than not, even though we're in the business of providing these live auction items and what have you, we end up talking about things that are completely disparate from that conversation, because there's so much, there's so much, I call it heavy lifting, but I mean in the best possible way, and that's, synonymous with these big rocks. There's so much work that you can do before we even get to that part. And and once again, that all starts with, well, how much money are we looking to raise?
Well, and the specific thing is, when we look at what's our goal? What's our total overall goal? And then we say, okay, well, how are we going to get there?
Yep.
And this is where the rock part comes in to say, okay, well, we want to reverse it, and I'm going to just
I'm going to use
100 grand. Okay. So we say, okay, well, we use the number that if you want to raise $100,000, you need to have 70% of that money raised before you walk in the door.
Pre-commit
$70,000. Everybody goes, well, how do you do that? Well, there's three basic ways: sponsorship, underwriting, and then I would say like commits for the live ask and things like that. Because if it's pre-committed dollars, it's pre-committed. Just somebody raises their hand during the event, but that's still, you've done the work before.
So a match that you can really get some.
Well, just my point is your rock is going to be, we need to raise $70,000. That's our rock. That means it's non-negotiable.
That's what we have to hit. That's
the part that I think everybody gets scared of, and that's where fear comes into play, because we start saying, I've never raised that much money before.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I mean, we understand that there's trepidation around that and making that commitment, because the other thing is, well, let's just say that you miss your goal, you don't hit it, and you raise $67,000 or $65,000.
That's not a loss. That's not a miss.
Well, you didn't hit your goal, but it's a heck of a lot better than
maybe 98% of the way.
Yeah.
And okay, what I think of when you say this, though, I think a lot of people get caught up in this spot, and you were referring to a good client of ours that everything's templated out. They have it all in writing. They're, fundraising juggernauts, and they raise 70% of their dollars going in. We're talking about like $500,000, $1 million events, just numbers are numbers. But I think that people are always like, they probably don't spend enough time on the pre-event dollars, sponsorships, underwriting, the matches, and what have you, that we get committed pre-event. And they focus so much of their time and attention on night of. And there's so much, and we actually had this conversation last week about raising money outside of the event, having sponsor events and what have you, that aren't so focused on, and we need that money, of course, but there's so much there. There's so much opportunity. I think so many folks focus on, well, how much money are we going to raise the night of? And you can get so much heavy lifting, once again, if you identify these big rocks, these goals, pre-event, you can get so much money in the door if that's just where your focus is, and you start early and often.
Well, the reason we talk about a rock, the other thing is when it's a rock, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So when we set that rock is a non-negotiable.
It's not moving.
And then we set tasks in order to do that.
Yep.
So a subtask for the rock, we want to have $70,000 pre-committed
You're talking about
dollars.
getting the big rocks moving.
The big rock, that would be, okay, we want to do, $50,000 in sponsorships and table sales, and we're going to do the other 20,000 in underwriting.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what your goal is. Does that mean you can't, once you hit 70, you stop? No, of course not.
No,
but
keep going.
it does. And what I see happen, and then you start tracking the progress. You don't just sit there and go, okay, well, we've set the goal. Now what do we do? It's got to be something that's communicated to the entire organization from the top to the bottom, from the board, the CEO, all the way through the volunteers. Everybody needs to understand what it is, because that way everybody's pulling the same way, because then they understand. This is what we're focused on.
There's the same economic language, the same fiscal language.
Yeah, a big rock may be the fact that,
I love that.
And you've got to just tailor this to your deal to say, okay, our big rock is that we want to raise the night of, we want to have established a night of event fundraising to raise $50,000 with a $100,000 stretch. Okay, we really want to bust our deal because we want to do it. We know, and we've set this part up, and these can go simultaneously, and you can do all this. Even though we're trying to raise 100,000, and we say, okay, well, we want to raise 100 grand, and we've got 70 of it coming in the front before the event, and we only need 30, but we're going to set some stretch goals.
Love that.
But that's still a rock, because the rock is that we're going to have these things in place in a certain time, in a certain way. Again, it's about, these are non-negotiables. These are, we're going to set hard deadlines. We're going to do it. And then we're going to track our progress. So whenever you have that committee meeting and we go and we say, okay, how are we doing on sponsorship and underwriting? Okay. This is literally how simple it is.
The score is up on the board. Everyone knows what that is. What's funny, I want to expand on what you said, though, before we get too far off. You were talking about you need your board, your committee, the entire staff. You could be a staff of 1, a staff of 3, what have you, a staff of 10. You have a committee for the event. You have the board as well. And you have folks helping you from all angles. We certainly hope. But in the same fashion that we talk to folks about having a clearly defined mission and making sure that everyone says it the same way every time to anyone they come into contact with, it's that important when it comes to everyone being on board with how you're going to go about raising this money.
And you don't have to go and have a vote. Okay,
I don't think it needs.
This isn't the deal. This is our goal. This is where the CEO of the executive director has to go say, okay, we've got our annual gala coming up. We're going to raise $100,000. Here's the stuff. We're going to get 70,000. Even if you're the director, I don't care what position you're in. If you're in charge of the event, but and that's the thing. That's the way that's got to be communicated. Again, everybody's got to be on the same page.
100%.
Because then they all understand why we're doing what we're doing. Why is she spending so much time? Why is she spending so much time on this underwriting thing? We've never done that before.
Precisely.
They don't know. Because they don't know. Well, we've set a goal. This is our hard goal to do it. And once they understand it, then it makes sense to everybody, and they all come through.
I love it. It's a great template. I think that we've shared the MDA template for pre-committed dollars. Pre-event fundraising with like sponsorships under. If we shared it once, we've shared it 20 times. We'll share it again with the recording just so you can see.
I mean, it's a pretty basic deal.
I also think that if you don't, you just said this though. It's like if you've never done it before, all the more reason actually to take the time to bullet it out. I say put it in writing and give it to everyone so it's not just verbalized, right? Sounds very simple, but it's a way to define goals. That's for sure.
Well, but once you've got the rock, then you've got to say, how are we going to get that rock to moving? This is why you want to communicate everything to everyone, because once you have everybody communicated, then you can have updates and whether we're on track or we're not. So let me give you an example. Let's say that your event is going to be in October.
Oh yeah, get in the weeds like this.
Well, let's say it's on October, and here we're August, and we're having an update meeting. And Trevor and I are sitting there going, okay, well, are we on track or are we off track? And Trevor says, we're on track. Or we're off track. We're off track. Well, we've have commits of $35,000. We wanted to be at this point at $45,000. We're $10,000 off, and so we're a little off track.
There?
Well, what that does, and everybody goes, well, hey, tell me who we got. Did you get Joe? Did Taylor Powell? Did Taylor Powell get back with you? No, Taylor didn't. Okay,
Yep.
I'm going to call Taylor right
Yep.
now, and we're going to see if we can
Yeah,
make
from
that deal.
multiple angles.
Taylor says, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
we're in. I
Yep.
just forgot about it.
Yep.
We're going to do that. That's how these things work. And
Yep.
it's a very simple, it's very, I know y'all are probably saying, well, that's very simple.
Yeah, we don't have to make it complicated.
But that's the point, is it really is that simple.
Yeah.
It's not overcomplicated where you've got to get, because, whenever they're showing all the other stuff, the sand and the gravel, that's where we get really trapped.
Yeah, the donated bottle of wine that we have to get for the sauna, the sand.
Yeah.
I guess it's important if it's a nice bottle of wine, but it's not like, moving the needle. It's
Well,
not a big
the
rock.
other thing it does is if you're trying to re-gear your volunteers, I've seen this with a lot of people, volunteers, they've always been doing the same thing every year over and over and over. They always go to the same restaurants, get the same amount of stuff, and they think that's their mission.
Yep.
And we're just saying, hey, this is what our goal is. This is our rock. And this is what we're working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps the conversation in the same place. It's a
I
very
love
simple
that.
way to do it without going, look, Joe, I
Yeah.
really appreciate the fact that you're doing that, but that's not, it's just not moving the needle. We need to go get these other dollars, and we know you've got a whole phone full of contacts.
Yep.
That's who I need you working with.
Yep.
It just keeps everybody on the same page.
I think it keeps I also think it'll keep your meetings probably from 3 hours down to an hour as well. It's like running around in circles, chasing your tail, talking in circles about who's doing this? I think this more than ever, as a matter of fact, because we know this, we see this with our own organization where meetings can go, 30 minutes, they don't need to go past 10. And it's just, if we're just on point and, we know exactly what we're working towards because it's defined, it's in writing. We know what the metric is, we know what the goal is, and it helps everyone because we're all pulling the same
and
direction.
here's what happens when you speed things up like that
Think
with
about it like an
committees.
organization, yeah.
Well, if you speed things up like that with committees, and everybody, we tell everybody on this webinar every week, we're going to get you out of here in an hour. It's never going to be longer than that. It never is. We've never gone over.
True
So
story.
that's our promise. We're always going to start on time, finish on time.
I say define that early at the meeting.
Well, no, I think everybody should know going into the meeting when we have a call.
Yeah.
We get caught up in these meetings all the time where, okay, well, where we're going to have the meeting? We're going to have the meeting at the at our office, and then we're going to get there. Well, who's going to get the tea? Who's going to get the pop? Who's going to get the crackers? Well, we've got to get the something because Trevor's allergic to gluten, so we've got to have some gluten-free snacks for Trevor. He's going to be upset.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of all that stuff. And most of the time you can do a simple phone call, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Start the clock. 10 minutes we're on, 10 minutes we're off. And you'd be surprised how many people, when they know that's what's going to happen, they will show to the meeting, they will engage in the meeting because they're not wasting you're not wasting their time.
These are important parameters. Yeah, I think actually looking at it, it seems like, because I keep going back to these like basic, like fundamental things, like write it down, have a template. Well, the greatest fundraising organizations that we know have this in place. So, you know what I mean? We see it firsthand with what they do, and they're always successful. So there must be a reason for it. But I also think that, as you mentioned, it's like treating it like an organization, because you are raising money for your organization, but treating the event itself like it's a real live, organism, breathing, and giving it, lifting it up, I suppose, and making it, it might seem silly, but I think it's serious enough, obviously, to do it. You know what I mean? To have these clearly defined goals, set parameters with time. This is what we're going to do. Have numbers up on the board because you want, the scoreboard never lies when it comes to, when you're hitting your metrics at certain points throughout the process. You can't go wrong. The most profitable organizations, the strongest performers, highest performers in the world, they do that.
Got a way that can go wrong.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This is one of the funniest
I wanna
ones
hear
I've
it.
ever. This is, and I'm not. You're absolutely.
No,
right
I'm
what
just
you're
saying. Yeah.
but I thought this is a really good point. You got to define what is a rock within when you're doing this.
Yeah. Good call.
Because you can't go, well, we've got to make sure that we get Jimmy Joe up here to be, up there her table. Because
You're talking about personalities.
well, no, I'm not really talking about personality.
Well,
I'm talking about definition of a rock.
Yeah.
A rock is not, okay, well, we've got to have sound, we've got to have audio visual.
Yeah.
That's a rock. We've got to have that. It's not a rock. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just a task.
Yeah.
It's a box to check. That's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
we got to do
Because it's not raising money.
Because, well, it's not about raising money. It's about what are we trying to do to get there.
Yeah.
That's part of the gravel and the
sand and gravel.
gravel,
Yeah, yeah.
sand and gravel.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
having a hard time
No, I'm
talking
with you,
about
though. I'm with you.
it. It's all the sand I've got between my toes, I guess. Oh, did I say that? No, the
blowing up our spot.
yeah. So, not getting those things confused.
Yeah.
Because everybody says, well, we've got to make sure we get a $50,000 sponsor. Well, if that's really, you've never done that and that needs to be your rock, okay.
Yeah.
But, to me, that's just really a task. And so be thoughtful about when you do this. 3 to 5 is the most an organization can deal with when it comes to rocks.
Okay. We didn't say that before.
3 to 5 is the most that you can pretty well manage to do that. Now, there are going to be things underneath those rocks. The next thing is, how many rocks are you going to own? So if I'm going around and I'm saying, okay, Trevor, this is your baby. You're accountable to it. Notice I said accountable, not responsible. Accountable means that he's the one that's going to track progress, make sure we're on time, and be able to say we're on track or off track, things like that. Responsible, well, the entire organization is responsible for it. See, this is why we want to tell everybody, because that way it's all there. And then we jump in to help however we need to do it.
I think there's an accountability to saying all that out loud.
Well,
a natural accountability.
It does, but the other part is when we go and we start having some who has the rock, there's some questions we need to ask.
Yeah, and sometimes that's uncomfortable sometimes, right?
Is this in your spot? Is this where your strength is? Is this somebody can do it? Does everybody else believe that can happen? And that's why I say this is early stuff on, because we're wanting to make sure. And Trevor says, well, I'm just using this. This is not Trevor. He's not expecting, but he goes, I've got a 5-year-old. My wife's pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor, I'm not so sure that you're going to have time when our event comes around to do that. So we need to really be thoughtful about this stuff and make sure that when we do that, and sometimes we feel like we're so desperate to get somebody to take, if they've got a pulse and they kind of, I'll do it. We're like, okay, I got to volunteer. They've signed up, and we put somebody in a situation
where they're not going to succeed. Yeah.
Has anybody had any experience with that?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you have. Any questions or anything that's top of mind?
We're kind of, it's kind of a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to distill it down to where it's simple whenever you're going to do these things. Don't get caught up don't overthink it. It's a simple thing, but you put that together and say, hey, here's a rock, here's what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, and away we go.
I think for some reason I keep thinking about different organizations where they're dealing with so many different personalities and different volunteers, and I've always done it this way, or we've always done it this way, or Sally's always been this, and it's underachieving, or you just find you're talking, we had an organization, a lovely organization, come to our boot camp where they just had board members and committee members that were really slowing talk about rocks. It was like, it felt to them like they were pushing boulders uphill constantly because of personalities. And we think this is a great opportunity, identifying these different rocks, these big rocks, a great way to reshape the whole effort, right, around this. And it might take, you always say, hey, we got to have an uncomfortable conversation, so I just think of personalities for some reason when I think about this, and if you've been fundraising a certain way and how you can add the advent of this ideology of identifying these very, very big pieces and focusing on those and making sure you got the right folks in the right place. You're going to come up against some resistance probably from a character, personality standpoint. If you're in an organization where you don't deal with that, God bless you. I think that's fantastic. But we know that there's, folks that deal with the board, the committee, the certain, staff member or whatnot that just seem like they're dissident. They're not on board with change and creativity and putting these things in writing and things along those lines. And raise your hand if you felt that. I get it. We totally get it. And then we're sensitive to it, and it's a drag.
It's been about 5 years ago. I went to a meeting with an organization, sitting with all the board, and we got to this one gentleman, and the first thing that he said I'm a founding board member. I was here when this place started 27 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been here every time. And pretty much what he was saying, this is mine, I own it. And as the meeting proceeded, you talk about, when I talk about rocks, I'm talking about these are just goals. But when you talk about the rock rolling down on you, he was the guy blocking the path for everybody.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to make sure that he was everybody knew that this was his deal.
Yep.
And he had a crappy little banged out cabin that he wanted to put in the live. Well, it's only got to be in the live auction because it's always been in the live auction.
Yeah, I know the character.
And it was just all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. This is not fun.
And I just remember, you just could feel the energy getting pulled out of the room every time.
Energy vampires, man.
And every time that he would start talking, and everybody just rolled their eyes, and it was, to show disdain. But nobody would take any action for it because they were scared of him. And I think, when you set a process up like this, one of the things it does, it allows you to avoid to have some of those difficult conversations, because when you've got everybody there together, and I say it may be 3 people, it could be 30, I don't know, depending on the size of your organization and how you're set up. And, hopefully it's not 30, you're not trying to deal with that
many,
because
that's personalities.
Yeah, you need to get the core people in this to set these up. But let's say that you set this up and you say, okay, we're going to raise $100,000. We're going to get $70,000 to begin with, and Trevor's going to be accountable. And everybody goes around and agreed. Is Trevor got the right person? Is he the right person? We go, yep, absolutely. So what that means, what that also means though, is that we're all signing on to be support for him doing it. We all agree that he's the right person. And so it is all we're committing to make sure that he does not fail. And we're going to hold him accountable by being accountable.
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
We had a question says, if one rock is raising money, I assume partner money, auction money, matching, etc., fall into the rock or pebbles. What other rocks, venue others? So this is where I think about specifically raising money. So raising money, $70,000. Let's say that's the rock. We got to get $70,000 pre-event. Another rock could be, we're going to do $50,000. We're setting a rock to do, even though we just got to do $50,000 for our fund to need. We've struggled last year with our silent auction, so we want to make sure it brought like 7,000. So we want to make sure it does a minimum of 15,000. Our live auction, it's this, and we want to do that. So that's how you can set these rocks of what you want to do. And again, you're putting this on. Another thing could be, hey, our rock is that we want to make sure we want to sell out. We want to sell every ticket, every table, and we want to do a sellout this year. We've never done it before, and that's our deal. We want to make sure we sell it out.
Yeah.
Those are things that just come to my mind, and you don't have to have 13 rocks. I mean, you could have one. We want to raise, $70,000, and we figure the rest of it will work out. We're pretty successful once we get people in the room. So,
sure,
those are things that you can do. I hope that helps answer that question. It really depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, how much money you're looking to raise.
Yeah. You might have that, we've had, I heard somebody say, we used to have all the, the high society folks, or the people about town, the wealthy people come, and they've never been back. Maybe that's your rock, is to get those back.
Yeah, I love that idea. I was going to say, Jason was talking about table sales and ticket sales, and that seems to be like a great way that we're seeing at a lot of events where they're raising the price. They're raising the price of the tables. We had Amy on a couple of weeks ago where she said that, kind of in the same vein, we went from tables of 10 to tables of 8. Sounds like a very minor change, but she said we had a bunch of what she calls eaters and drinkers. Someone would buy a table for 10, and they were just handing out the tickets to anybody that would come because they needed to fill the table, right? So they shrunk it to 8, and they found they got a better cross section of folks that were willing to give during the event. So that was a cool aha moment there. But you said the high society folks aren't showing up. Give them a reason to come. Make that a priority. And so we're really big believers in advertising the event in advance, but then advertising the right things. And think about it this way. Think about think about advertising and marketing just in a consumer sense.
Well, are you talking about this in context of a rock?
When we were talking about like table sales and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
sure, that could be one. Yeah, I was just going to give folks just, the idea of getting those kinds of folks in the room. You could be advertising more cleverly, with things that folks want to see, entertainment, the food,
Mm-hmm.
the venue. That could be one huge thing. That could be a big identifiable rock. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got you where you're going now. So if I want 300 people of these certain people. So this is 300.
Yeah.
So that's the rock. The subsection, how I'm going to get there,
Yeah.
would be things exactly like you're
Totally
saying.
like the gravel.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
That's where this is the to-dos. This is how we're going to the action items that we're going to do. That's just the goal.
Mm-hmm.
The rock is the goal. The action items are the actions we're going to take to make these happen, and then it becomes a checking of a box.
Yep.
Yep.
I love that. That could be venue.
We're going to personally call. I mean, and I'm just throwing it out here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to personally call our top 100 donors that haven't attended in the last 5 years. We're going to,
I love that.
make sure that we're going to put some things out there that they've never seen before and advertise to let them know that this is going to be, there's going to be something there for them.
Absolutely. There's a certain exclusivity to it.
yeah.
Maybe it's invite only. Maybe it's, there could be so many different layers where you could go.
Yeah, maybe
about
instead
that.
of going bigger, you've been getting 600, 700 people, but you're raising less money.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, maybe you change around and say,
More is not always more.
More is not always more.
Wow. That's
So-
good. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Well, some other rocks
Very interesting.
within the fundraising context. I think that's, we talked about the pre-event. Another one could be, like I said, the fund to need. Fund to need is a really interesting thing because I see, and we've commented, we see some auctioneers out here talking about, you don't have to do this, you can do it all with a fund to need. Well, you can.
Sure.
You can. And Trevor and I were just talking about this, how, and so I'm not here to say whether that's the right thing or the wrong thing. I'm just giving you an idea about fund to need. The most successful fund to needs that I see are not, I repeat, they're not spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
They are planned, orchestrated, pre-committed.
Yes.
We're doing things to set that up, to set the program up to raise that money.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think happens a lot is somebody sees another organization, they go, wow, they raised $250,000 in their fund to need. Well, how much money was pre-committed? That's where you find out. I've never, not one time ever, have I heard somebody saying, oh, we just crushed it. And yeah, the auctioneer got up there and said, hey, who'd like to just give us some money tonight?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And everybody just raised their hand and millions. I've never seen it. If anybody has, please, we'll have you come on and talk about
how you did that.
How it happened. I would like to know because we want to bottle it up. We want to document it, study it, and then share it out because I've just never seen that happen. So that could be the rock in itself. Maybe that's one of your rocks is that we want to do a $50,000. What does that mean? It means that we've got to go find somebody that, we know we've got a big donor and they've got big ability. We want to get somebody to do a match for half of it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yep.
But again, those are the things that we want to focus on. And the rest of it, like we're talking about audio visual. Yeah, you got to have audio visual. Venue. You absolutely have to have a venue. If your venue has sucked and you say, we've just got to do something different, either, they're pricing us out of range.
Yeah.
We're stuck. We can only use their caterers and, the food's just not good. It's not good to the standard we want to have.
Of course.
Maybe that is something that you've got to do. Okay. Our rock is to find a new venue.
Mm-hmm.
It's really what your biggest needs are and what's going to get you to your goal. That's where the rocks come in. And I think when we stop and analyze it, because otherwise we just kind of go, okay, well, we've got to send out a save the date. When are we going to have the date? We've got the date. Let's send the save the date out. And we just go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
Right.
And
without pushing. I get you.
well, it's just, you get on the treadmill and the next thing you know, it's 2 weeks from the event.
Right.
That's why we literally have people call us 2 weeks from an event and say, I need some live auction items.
It happens a lot.
Now we want to help them. We want to help them.
Yeah.
We want to make that happen. But what we're seeing is because they've waited so long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've still got, they can do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've got to have something, and how can I do it?
Yeah.
And they're just, they're behind the curve.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the marketing. Had they done this a month beforehand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got that in.
You're talking about reactionary. I totally get it. Behavior. And we know that, hey, if you have a donation fallout and you need a live auction item last minute and all that stuff, that's why we're here and things of that nature. And that happens to all sorts of different organizations. But, if you plan these things out, you could be advertising a rockin' live auction item 90 days, 60 days in advance of the event, and, grab some interest from some folks that weren't previously going, but they want to go because of it, because of the opportunity. So you can never underestimate that. It sounds very, very small, but it's actually very, very real. And it happens all the time now, where folks are literally going to events because they have a rockin' auction item, they have a rockin' sound auction, a rockin' band. Oh my gosh, the venue's new. I don't want to miss this. Oh, this person's going to be there, or they're a title. So yeah, plan these things in advance for sure, because this is what's going to galvanize folks to be interested in giving. Right? That's the idea for sure.
And we're talking about putting all these things together, and that's why these status updates, having these small little touches, if you would, with your group.
I love that.
Even on a weekly basis, I don't think you're ever going to find a deal where somebody's going to be, maybe your committee's meeting once a month or once every, 6 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm.
But having those touches in between, where it's just a phone call, they pop in, do it on Zoom, whatever, it's a call. It starts at 10, it's over at 10:10. Guys, if you're not on by 10, you don't get in.
Mm-hmm.
If you and we will not run past 10:10. If you do things like that, everybody will get in. If you and people like it.
Yes.
Because they know, I don't want to get knocked out of the meeting and miss.
No, they respond.
And if they miss, you probably didn't need them in the meeting anyway, because they're just there wasting everybody's time.
People respond to that. You're not wrong at all.
So I think being a true measure, being willing to say, are we on track or off track? Off track means that we've got to do something to get it back on track. That means maybe we've got to change our strategy. Maybe
a different voice.
Maybe we've got, we thought we could make 3 calls a day, everybody making, 2 or 3 calls a day to get our sponsorships, and we have to make 5 calls. I don't know. It just, there's things like that happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're off track, it's just the lull and you're just off track. You can go back around and discuss, is there anything to do different? No.
What do you think about this? There's typically probably not going to be something that there's not going to be a big rock that you haven't hit yet, or haven't identified, or haven't touched and tried to implement at your event. Everyone's got one where they're like, geez, I wish we would twist the dial on the fund of need, or, oh, I wish we would twist the dial a little bit, or could raise some more money, sponsorships, and everyone's got one, right? I mean, not any organization is absolutely nailing it. I mean, I guess.
Well, the ones that are, they're setting these rocks, and they may call them something else.
Yeah.
They just say, well, these are our goals. We've got, we want to sell, we're going to sell a $50,000 sponsorship instead of a $40,000.
Yeah.
We're doing all these things, and they set these goals and they start working on these because they know the first person they're going to go to for the $50,000 is the person that paid 40.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to go to them first.
Yeah.
They're just certain things that they're going to do.
Yeah.
Raising more. And this is one of the things I think, it's funny when we sent this out, Courtney took a little poetic license, I guess, and she put something about contingency plan. And we were talking about this morning. I said, if it's going to set as a rock, there's not a contingency plan.
No, there's no plan B.
Well, you've got to hit it, or you're not hitting your mark. And so, because what happens is we bail out so fast. I cannot tell you how many times I sit and have a conversation, maybe somebody on this call we've had a coaching call with, and they say, well, we'd really like to do this, but I think we'd really like to raise 75,000 the night of, but we'll just do 40.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
It's like, why in the world don't you push?
Yeah.
As Trevor would say, twist the dial, make it hard. It's already hard.
Yeah. Nothing about this is
I don't know of anybody ever having a fundraiser of any kind that wasn't hard somehow or way, some way or nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we talk about, training a lot. If you're going to train, if you're going to go to the gym and you're going to train hard.
Yeah.
You got to go anyway.
Yep.
it's going to hurt no matter what.
Yep.
If you do that, if you're running, if you're
There's going to be good days and bad days.
yeah,
for sure.
if you're gonna spend the time and do it well.
Yep.
And the people that we see raising the most money, guess what? This is real interesting.
Yeah, hit it.
They don't have the best donor base necessarily.
They don't have the deepest like live auction spenders.
They don't have, they don't
deepest
have
pocket.
the deepest pockets.
Yep.
They don't have necessarily the easiest mission. They're not trying to, get people to buy diapers and baby formula, which is kind of an easy one.
Yeah.
But what I do see time and time again, the people that are successful is they set these specific goals. They have a timeline and they stick to it. Mm-hmm. They don't budge. They don't go, we're over this. If we've got until, August 31st, we have to have all of our sponsorships, our events in September, August 31st, the cutoff. If we don't have it in, it's not happening. Mm-hmm. Anything else goes to, it's not part of our commit. Yep. And it's just something extra we get. So if somebody goes in extra, we've chopped it off. Yep. We don't hit our goal by here, we're not doing it. And they just don't hesitate.
Yeah, they don't waver.
They've got things like their auctioneer. They're not waiting until 3 weeks before going, hey, did anybody think about getting an auctioneer?
Yeah, they're like
I don't know. Who do we get?
They're like 6 months
Who's
out.
free? Who's the cheap guy?
Yeah.
They're booking that person way out in advance.
Or a year. Who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, some of the folks we work with, they're booked a year in advance because they know they're good and they don't 100%. Want to be taken.
Yep.
They stick to those plans. They do not waver. Mm-hmm. And it's not that they don't take no. They may have to figure out a different way to do it. They may have to meander around a little bit to get that done, or change strategy to finish the goal. Mm-hmm. They don't waver on, well, gosh, I don't know. I was really hoping to get 70,000, but we're at 50. So I think I'm just going to call it a day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Again, I get it. It's hard. Mm-hmm. And having been all around this stuff for 30 years, not, except sitting in your seat, a paid seat of a paid fundraiser, or some of y'all are volunteers, I know. It's hard.
Yeah. If anyone's running any roadblocks with identifying these big rocks, or if you have already identified the big rocks and, want help on implementation, and because not every organization is created the same, reach out to Jason or us or myself, pardon me. Free coaching. We'll give you a half hour or more of our time. We do it on a regular basis. We're constantly, as I mentioned at the onset of this discussion, we're constantly talking to folks about things that have nothing to do with our auction items when it comes to raising money.
90% of the time we talk about fundraising. So
we 90%. Just realized, and we've adopted it, and we giggle about it because that's just our life and what we do now. Mm-hmm. And it's fun and we enjoy it, and our time's free, and it comes with no agenda, but just an experience share that we're happy to give you at no cost. So there's a little button on our website, hjfundraising.com. It says free coaching. Hit that button if you need a half hour of time, once again, or more from us. We're happy to give it to you.
An hour's easy.
Yeah. We've got team members that are phenomenal fundraisers with a ton of experience doing events as well. So it's not just Jason or I, if you're kind of tired of hearing us talk. Yeah. But you can also reach us very, very easily. Jason at hjfundraising.com and Trevor at hjfundraising.com if you want to shoot us a quick email. A lot of you already do, and I'm tickled by it, and we can't thank you enough for the response.
Well, I think one thing I want to just share with you too, this is not just because, we've got some kind of genius strategy.
Magic potion.
I wish we did, because if we had some, we'd just pass it all out and everybody would.
Well, I'd be drinking it right now.
Yeah. And so it's not that, but we just get to talk to a lot of you on a daily basis, a lot of stuff. Trevor and I, we go back and we talk about this stuff constantly, even when we're not together and somewhere in North America.
In the Pacific
with sand between our toes.
In the Pacific Standard Time Zone.
Yeah.
We do have a question. Do we have a question?
It's Bev. Hey, Bev. Yeah. You're so welcome.
So good.
You're
I'm
so
taking my notes right on.
Yeah. No, we're happy.
Well, yeah. It's our pleasure, Bev. Yeah. Thanks so much. That's why we're here.
What I want to come back to is we get access to see all the stuff, all the pain and all the wins and the agony of defeat, sort of. So we understand, and that's why we want to share this stuff with everybody. And it's not that we just happen to be around a lot of events.
We're literally working with some of the largest and smallest simultaneously, and everything in between, organizations that they nail it in online auctions. So we're going to share it. They absolutely nail it in the live auction. They nail it with table sales, and they nail it with sponsorships and underwriting. And we're just, our equity is our clients and our relationships. That's really our strength. And, if you've been on the webinar, or if you haven't, we're just a vessel of this information. We're literally in over 1,000 events annually. And, what we notice a lot of times is not every organization shares, right, the information. And so we're just a broker for this information. And we're happy to help. So
the final thing is, if you're having just one more time, if you're struggling with these rocks, you're going, I just don't know. I know I've got to do something different.
Yep.
Give us a call. Happy to talk to you.
Or identify one. I just want to know how to implement it.
And then talk about how to get these things laid out. So that way you've got a blueprint, if you would, a plan.
Let's talk about
to take it.
Yep.
And so happy to share.
I love that.
We've got to get a winner.
Any last minute questions or comments or kind words? We're not impervious to kind words. So thanks, everybody. Really, really appreciate you for coming on. But if you have any last minute questions or anything like that, let us know. So we're happy to answer them. So very, very fun. And
I'm getting this pulled up real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you so much.
And we've got a winner.
All right.
Shannon Guthrie. Congratulations.
Okay, Shannon. All right.
You want a trip?
Right on.
Your next fundraiser that you can raise more money?
I don't know if it's a rock, but it's going to help you raise some money. So that's for sure.
For sure.
Yep. Thanks so much for coming, Shannon. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Right on.
Hey,
thank you so much.
If you've seen this on the recording, please share it. Give us a like, subscribe. And
ask a question.
Hope to see everybody next week. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
So, noon Central next Thursday. Oh, sorry, shameless plug, but hey, nonprofits, raise more money. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're consuming your podcasts. We got about 2 or 3 episodes coming out every single week. We got some awesome guests.
They're all 15 minutes.
Short form. We've got some stuff now what's even coming out even shorter than that. It's just a quick, basically we're just telling you everything we saw in the last week in the event world in 7 minutes or less. So that's really, really fun. So do us a favor. Calvin, you don't know that. Calvin, you don't know that. You don't know where we are, Calvin.
We're in Canada.
Calvin, you don't know that, but hey, good guest. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for coming. Really fun having you.
See everybody.
Have a great Thursday. Thanks so much. Bye now.